Hello everyone, just Goran here and welcome back to Building the Beekse Bergen Season 2. In the last episode we worked on some transportation things, a little area over here around the entrance area still, and today we are moving further along the walking route into the brand new Black Rhino area. And as you can see, I finished it, you know, it's completely finished. Look at that, it's all there, everything. No, see, I have been playing a trick on you. Why am I doing this stupid bit? No, I put down some billboards. A bunch, actually. I did it a lot more efficiently as I did last time. I basically did one. I wanted to do one billboard per square, but there's no billboard of that size, so I did 2 billboards per square, with a little bit of overlap, which made it really kind of difficult to cut out each bit of the billboard. It was a pain. So what I did instead this time is I took the biggest billboard we have, which is a 32-meter one, which basically takes in 2 grid spaces and then a little bit extra. So I did a little bit of math to calculate, you know, what size of thing I would need, and then I used a very simple website. It's like imagesplitter.com or something like that. Let me actually double check. Okay, it's pinetools.com/split-image. And it's a website where you can upload a picture and then choose how many vertical and horizontal rows or columns you want to cut them in, and then it just gives you a zip file of all the loose image files, which is super useful. So basically I could just get this entire image from my own grid and just put it into that website to get all the image I needed. So it's like row 1, column 2, column 3, 4, etc, etc. It's like 50 something images that we got in here, but that covers pretty much the entire new area. I'm missing a little bit of the viewing area down here, but most of that is covered by trees anyway, so who really cares? I've been able to already lay out some things on here. So we've got this, which was pretty easy to do because there's a very clear shadow of where that wall goes. So this is the kind of retaining wall for the dry moat of the Rhino. And over here we have the viewing area of the kind of savanna plains and a tree and the education signs. That's all I placed. Oh no, I also marked out the path already, but I sunk that down here. So we can actually do that for the rest of this stuff as well. So we can sink down the retaining walls. Because now what we can do is, with these things that I marked out, we can start kind of just building out the area. So I can paint in where the path is going to be, kind of flatten this all out. I think the path is actually mostly flat. I'm going to check my reference for that. But yeah, there's going to be a bunch of, there's a lot to do. Alright, so a bunch of things laid out once again, and I've started doing a little bit of terraforming, and it's starting to take shape. We're starting to get a feel for the area. So if we walk along this path, I want to touch the cam so I can show you kind of what they, and as an extension I am going for here is, of course, this kind of landscape immersion effect where you have this moat over here, but you try to hide it as best as you can. So you raise up the terrain next to the path as well as the terrain next to the moat. So the place the Rhino is going to be sending is I think I might have to make it a little bit higher, but it's slightly higher than the path itself. So that kind of blends away the moat, and it looks like, okay, the lighting conditions I have right now isn't really doing it justice, but if you have the lighting like this, the moat kind of blends away, especially if you're going to have grass and stuff growing there. The moat kind of just turns invisible, and it looks like you're standing in the same area as the Rhino, which is really, really cool. And we kind of have a similar thing on the other side. It doesn't work as well here, if you ask me, but especially because of how you kind of inside the moat over here, and you just kind of see into the fence. That pink The pink thing is where the fence is going to be. Like over here, I made a custom fence using the LED end cap, the Australian rod, and some mesh. Just, you know, it's not that much better necessarily than using the in-game barriers. The only difference really is that I have a round rod instead of these, which for me is reason enough. You don't have the little thingy on top, which I didn't necessarily want. So yeah, that is that. So next up, just more of the same, finishing up the terraforming, doing the terraforming for the other rhino habitat, which is over here. And then also we're gonna have to kind of rework and update the African wild dog habitat over here, because this African wild dog habitat is now visible from over here. This is a little viewing area for the African wild dogs. So yeah, they're part of the walking safari now. I don't even think I have them in here. This was just kind of a placeholder habitat because nothing back here is really finished. So I don't know if we're gonna do all of that to the most detail that I would like. I have some reference of back here because I have been back here once. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it though. Alright, so over here we've got another awesome bit of landscape immersion. As you walk up through the new area, over here we have the viewing area for the lions. You get to see this, well, it's not really a view into the new, it is a view into the new area. It's not a viewing area per se, it's just you get a glimpse of what you're about to see. But once again, the fence that is in between here, if we actually were to walk up to it, is completely hidden away. And I have had it at some point, I don't know if I have a photo or some footage of it or anything, but I think one time there were some water buck over here, and it looks so cool. It really looks like you're just on the same level as them, and that is really neat. So as we move through here, this is where there's gonna be a little educational area, and I've already made one prop for it, which is this truck. It doesn't look that great, but it's good enough from a distance, which is all you're really gonna see. So yeah, got a little truck over there that is completely going up in smoke. You'll see why when we get to it, but nothing much changed here. I don't know if I showed these fences yet, but the fences have all these little bits of wood, so I used a bunch of the, I think they're new from the Europe pack update, a lot of climbing logs of all sorts of realistic branches and stuff. There's also a fallen down tree over here, which I ended up making out of a bunch of different logs to make like a thicker log, and it's the Himalayan pine, kind of upside down because the roots are over here, because I didn't want the branches to be pointing downwards like it does with the pine, because in real life this isn't a pine tree. And then I used the yellow ipe tree, which has a similar color of bark, to make kind of the crown of the tree, which looks kind of neat. And then I used this kind of broken Himalayan pine bit to make the log one log, because without it, it kind of looks like you've just stacked 3 logs on top of each other. But like this, it actually just looks like one big log, which is really what it's supposed to be, and that's pretty nice. So over here, nothing much has changed, so we're just gonna go and skip over that, because I have been working on just once again laying out all of the terrain. I've taken out all of the trees for now. I'm just gonna place those back when we get to that sort of detailing. I'm gonna talk about this in a bit, but first I want to go over here because this is what I've mostly done, laying out all of the terrain. There's going to be a little tunnel over here where the car safari goes over this little bridge on its way, so you cross under it over here. And then over here there's another amazing viewing point. Over here is going to be a lot of bush, so you don't really get spoiled of it like you are now, but kind of cross this turn and you've got this awesome once again, landscape immersion done really well here. The fence completely falls away. Okay, you get a few glimpses of it, but in real life you barely see it. Just this awesome little viewing area, and there's going to be an amazing sign over here, which we'll see pretty soon. It's something I haven't quite captured yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. Maybe once I get some plants and stuff on this. But in real life, they never put a fence in front of this hill. So what everyone started doing was just walking on top of the hill to get a closer look at the animals, completely breaking that bit of immersion. And also, now the hill is, like, the grass on top of it has been completely trampled. So it's just kind of a sandy hill mostly, which is a real big bummer. I really wonder why they never fenced it off like they did with a lot of the rest of the area. Because as a result, also the plants never really got to settle in, which it's all a bit of a bummer. But yeah, probably gonna be working on this sign pretty soon because I'm just looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm really glad I'm doing all of this terrain work first, because imagine if I'd built all of this out already and then figured out a little mistake, which is that over here I've been raising up the terrain a fair bit because okay, I raised it up a little bit too much, judging by the archer, but the terrain does need to be raised over here because this is where there is a viewing area into the African wild dog habitat. It's going to be some glass, but on the other side of the glass, the terrain is kind of at the level of the window. So the dogs are a lot higher up than you are, so you're kind of looking them in the eyes more. You're not really looking down on them. It's really cool. It's basically just like these viewing areas for the cheetah, where also you've got the same idea. The terrain has been raised up all the way to the glass and you have a level view of them. I don't know if there happens to be any cheetahs kind of there to be seen. Not really, but you get the idea. So once I raised the terrain up, I realized, that kind of conflicts with this barrier and stuff over here. I wonder if maybe this area needs to be a bit lower down, and I already had the feeling it needed to be when I looked at some video footage. But yeah, this path over here does slope downwards a little bit. I thought it was all level, but it isn't. Now I just hope that lowering the terrain here doesn't mean that I have to redo all of this stuff. I'm just gonna figure out. I'm gonna try to not redo this entire area because I'm actually really happy with it. So we'll just see what it ends up looking like. Alright, so I got the entire area fixed up. I think the heights are just about right now. It goes for most of the area, I think. I only need to do the terraforming of this habitat. It's gonna have a shelter just like this one, so I need to kind of put that in and terraform around that. But other than that, I think that terraforming is mostly done, at least the most important parts of it. So now it's gonna be just a case of building everything, which means some signs, the huts, the habitats, the stall. There's a lot to be done, so which I'm just gonna chuck away at it. So yeah, what do we have over here is the viewing area of the African wild dog. Over here is going to be a interactive education pillar. If you've seen my my real life zoo tour, I think it's Somer is the video that I covered this education pillar and stuff in. So I will probably link that up here right now, so you can watch that if you're interested and haven't seen it yet. But yeah, it's gonna be a sign. Just 3 sides to it with a bunch of cool stuff. It is 1 meter wide in real life, so I technically could use a billboard, but since I already, like, I didn't even use a billboard for the map. Where is it? I didn't even use a billboard for the map, so it'd be really weird if I started using billboards for these things now. So I think I'm gonna just try to not use any billboards for these either, which is I don't know what it's gonna end up looking like. It really depends. I think for these 2 education pillars it's fine. There's 2 more signs in this little educational village area that are also exactly 1 by 1 meter. So it's kind of like, oh, I could use a billboard so perfectly. Especially since those signs have like real life pictures of stuff on them. So those translate a lot less well to like font piece signs. But we'll see. We'll see what they end up looking like. We can always use billboards in the end. So yeah, one more thing I should probably touch on is that I added actual in-game burrows here. The African wild dog can't use these yet? Question mark? Who knows? Maybe one day it'll be added for them. I don't think, if that is the case, that they'll be able to use these, because I've completely built around them and stuff, so I don't think they'll be functional. But they still look really cool with their, like, the way that it gets dark inside of them and stuff. So I'm just gonna keep them. I think they look cool, and yeah, in real life, I'm not exactly sure where all the entrances and stuff are. From what I know, there's like 12 entrances to a big burrow that is like completely interconnected. All those entrances are tunnels that connect to one big burrow, and that's where the puppers are born and stuff like that, and it's like really, really cool. But yeah, we can't really make that in game, so this is probably the best I can do for that. So yeah. Also, we don't have an African wild dog sign, so I just temporarily have this hyena sign here. That is thing. I like putting down the signs of the animals to give an idea of what it's going to look like before I put the actual animals in, which will be a while away. So yeah, I'm gonna just keep building stuff. Alright, I think this is gonna be the last little in-between segment for this episode, because if I keep doing them, then this episode will be way too long. But basically, what I've kind of started doing is just going picture by picture through the entire area and just putting everything down, because I think planning wise, we are pretty much done. So let's actually head into explore mode real quick and just have a little look at what we are dealing with here. So coming across the bridge, of course, we all saw that in the last episode. I have taken out the paths over here because I needed to do some terrain work, and yeah, without free build that just wasn't really happening. And just look at this. Look at the zebra over there. That looks so cool. But yeah, we're gonna put the lighting like something like this, because yeah, I needed to do some terrain work over here. There needed to be much more of a hill, and yeah, you can see that I have been going through with my references, going through adding all of the detail I can. Looks like when I removed the path, some of these little things got covered up a bit. I'm guessing if we pull the path through here, then those things will disappear again. Maybe not. We'll probably have to, move those rocks again once I get the paths all done. But we'll see about that when the path is in. Like, then we'll touch up all of these rock things. Probably going to use these rocks to cover up some of those nubs as well. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, lots of periwinkles. Just adding those little bits of grass, and lots of bramble around here as well. I've been going ham with the Tropedia, whatever those are called. I can't really seem to manage to select one right now. But yeah, just adding a bunch of foliage, just making this look like a dense forest, which is what it is. This was kind of an unkept part of the zoo. Like, there wasn't really anything here before they added this area, and they kept much of that forest intact. They just, pulled the path through it, added some of these buildings, but it still really has that forest feeling. I need to add a little bit more stuff over here, but it looks fit. But yeah, over here we also have this little village, which I haven't really shown you guys yet. And this is a little, like, interactive. It's not very interactive, but it's like an experiential, educational experience. It's a bit too on the nose maybe, but yeah, you've got a little hut over here, which is a Poachers Hut, and when you go inside, and hopefully not end up on the roof, you will see like these boxes which have like horns and stuff in them, but as you can also see, there's a little speaker, because this is a audio experience basically. So yeah, I won't play the entire thing right now, but it's basically you're listening to a conversation between a poacher and the person who hires the poacher to, you know, in this case, he's like, I want a rhino horn and you're gonna give it to me. And it's kind of humanizing the poachers a little bit and showing the visitors that the issue of poaching doesn't necessarily only lie with poachers. Poachers are often just very poor people trying to, you know, get by, trying to feed their family, living in extreme poverty, while there's these rich people above them who are not paying them enough, making demands that are unreasonable, and they are the real problem, because yeah, they are kind of what's fueling these poachers in their actions. Of course, poaching itself is not a good thing to do either, but there is like a cause for it, and you can try to combat the poachers, but if you combat the people above them, that's how you really tackle the issue. So yeah, really interesting, really cool. There's some mixed some people think it's a little bit dull because, you know, you just stand here and listen to something. There isn't that much in terms of visuals. You can see like some light in this room when like doors are supposedly being opened and closed and stuff like that. But I think it's really nice. I really enjoyed it the first time I was here. Of course, once you've seen it once, then you've kind of experienced it. But I've gone back here quite a few times, of course, to make recordings and do stuff like that. I've also done some research here for my school projects. But overall, I think it's really cool, and I really like it a lot. And yeah, when you come outside at the end, spoiler alert, at the end of the conversation, the poacher's boss kind of flees off in a jeep, and you hear him crash into a tree. And then when you come outside here, you can see the crashed jeep up against the tree. And yeah, here we can really see that kind of... I'm trying to get that forest feeling down with all of the leaves on the ground. It's really hard to do this, like, effectively, I find. Like, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want leaves everywhere, but yeah, right now it still looks a little bit like, oh yeah, there's just random piles everywhere. It needs to look a little bit more scattered, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that is it for that. And then there's some educational signs about poaching, and also you have a bit of a view of the lake over here. But that's pretty much it for this area. This building doesn't really serve a purpose other than just some extra aesthetic. Yeah, that is the poaching area. Then when you continue on, you get to over here, and we see our educational pillars. If you've seen the real life zoo tour episode in which we covered these, you'll know what they are about. And I've actually integrated some billboards in these as well. So we've got a blinking kind of video telling you to press one of the buttons. This was a really nice way for me to get around having to actually make the video itself, because yeah, this is kind of the idle pose, and if you press a button, then a video starts to play. I could put some audio in here for this thing, but again, that's something that people would have to press buttons for, so I don't know. In general, I'm really happy with how this sign turned out. Over here, we've got like information about all the different kinds of rhino species in the world, and this is all about the black rhinos in Africa and how their population has declined, how their habitat and range has declined. The orange is what it used to be, and you can like slide on this thing to see what their current like habitat and range is. And yeah, there's all sorts of other things you can kind of interact with and look at, and it's really quite nice. And then if we move on through the area, we can see the stalls of the rhino, which I've started to build. It's not 100% finished either, but Most of it's actually in place. We've got all of these fences, which are like different holding areas for the rhinos. And one of these gates is open, but I haven't actually built an interior. I don't think I will. I'm not really in the mood for it, and there isn't that much space because of the skill we're building at. So I think I'm going to probably leave it kind of like this. I'm pretty happy with it anyway. But yeah, over here we have another one of those education pillars. So this one is for the African wild dogs. Of course, we're still missing, if you saw the most recent like real life zoo tour update about the Beekse Bergen, you'll know that there needs to be like an antenna thing over here, which is connected to this phone. That's still missing at the moment, but the sign itself I'm pretty happy with. So over here you have the phone, which you can listen to the GPS signal, and it talks about how they put GPS collars on wild dogs in the wild and to track them and study their population a bit. Over here there's a sign about the differences between African wild dogs and spotted hyenas, and then over here there is a sign about the family structures of African wild dogs, and you can kind of like look at what type of role you would have in the African wild dog family if you were to be an African wild dog. So it asks questions like, are you a boy or a girl? Do you babysit children? Do you do the groceries? And that sort of stuff. And it kind of different. It's like, oh, if you babysit the children, then that's your role in the thing. If you do groceries, then you're a hunter, that sort of thing. So yeah, and then also up here is another video that kind of talks about the African wild dog like family structures and how that is being dealt with in the breeding programs. So I just have this very low resolution, low quality video of some random African wild dog footage in game that's just kind of mimicking that video. So yeah, that is that, and I'm not sure if I actually shown the panorama thing as of yet. So let's quickly just have a look over here and see what that looks like. I'm going to cut this away if it's already done, but yeah, here is the panorama sign all done. And just look at that. Super happy with that. So some of these things are flipped open, as you can see, like this one. And when you flip it open, you can see like it has a bit of a different like look and feel. This one as well, like if it's flipped closed, you can kind of see the aftermath of the fire, and then you flip it open, you can actually see the fire in action. And yeah, there's all sorts of flippy things that you would be able to flip to read some extra info about the ecosystem of the savannah. Yeah, super happy with how this looks. And now to finish it, I'll see you in a bit. Alright, it's not done yet, but I really want to get this video out to you guys while I'm on vacation. And I've been working on this for months, as you can probably tell by me mentioning new pieces from the Euro pack and free build not working. So yeah, I've been working on this for a very long time while I was graduating and stuff like that. And I wanted to finish it and get it out to you guys before I went on holiday, but sadly I haven't been able to. A lot of stuff going on right now in my life, but we'll see. We'll catch up on that at some point. Anyway, I do have the entire visitor side of things finished, so let's just take one last walk around, kind of similar to the last clip, and see what I've done. So of course with the conservation pack, I've added a lot of flowers and grass and stuff like that around here. That stuff was just absolutely perfect for this area. So also this little corner now has a bunch of extra grasses and things like that around, which is just really, really nice. Same thing over here, just some of the new Yorkshire grass, dried drin grass, worked really nice for the more drier parts of the forest where there's less light. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that, I suppose. So let's keep going here, where we have this visitor area also all nicely foliaged up in between the path and this little retaining wall. Just a combination of different plants like the crowberry bush, the new pea shrub, I think these are called, yep, as well as, why am I in a group? I didn't mean to click that. Oh well, whatever. Yeah, just a couple of smaller flowers, just to give it a little bit extra color. Yeah, that is pretty much all of that. Really dense foliage on this side. This is really over the past year that this area has been here. Really grown out, and it's gonna do so even more in the future. But yeah, as you can see, I have started on the habitats. This one in particular, I'm working on the rocks that are surrounding all of the trees, but I'm just not going to have the time to finish that all before I want to get this video done. So just wrapping things up, and then in the next video, which will be a bit of a short one, we'll take a look at this entire area finished. Maybe I'll invite a guest over as well. Over here, we got the education sign for the black rhino, also all nice and done. Yeah, and the habitat is completely empty still. You can see the entire area has been lined with this little cable fenced thing. That took a little while to get all of that in place, but it's all nice and good. On this side, the fence is pretty much entirely obscured by the bushes. It's gonna be even more so in the coming years, I guess, as those bushes will keep growing. But yeah, here we have the final viewing area for the African wild dog. We can see we have the antenna, which I've actually made it so that you can select the top part, and the top part only, not the pole, and you can rotate that. Last time I was at the zoo, this was broken again, so it's they really gotta change how this thing works, because it breaks way too easily. But you know, that's neither here nor there. This is also the same as is the habitat. Over here we have the education sign for the African wild dog. I don't think I showed that yet. And yeah, then we go underneath the tunnel, which is now entirely done. Got all of these little details on there, as well as all of this kind of plaster work that is only partially put on the walls. And then on the other side here, got a nice lush, brackeny, ferny forest, and the viewing area, which is now also got some more foliage. And we got the kind of sandy hill that I talked about earlier on. That kind of ruins the entire immersion effect. So yeah, that's all of that. And then last but not least, we've got these small like wooden retaining things. Over here there used to be some big concrete tubes that you could crawl through as a kid. Not anymore though, they got rid of those, not sure why. But now there's just a pile of rocks. So I put that in, and that brings us joining up to the rest of the walking route. So yeah, that is it for the visitor side. Next video we're going to be looking at the habitats and finishing up this area. So hope you are looking forward to it. I'll see you then. For now, thanks for watching. This video is long enough as it is, so I'm going to leave you guys here. Bye bye!